What's different for you, Ian, as opposed to this time last year?
Probably all the spinning plates that I've got in the air at the moment they're spinning. It's just been incredible, the amount of the scope and the breadth of what I have to manage now is makes things a lot different. Going from my previous role where you just you look after your wheelhouse and you stay pretty much within it, and you obviously understand what everyone else is doing, but being that focal point has certainly been a big change for me.
Is it enjoyable?
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, I've enjoyed every single minute of it. It's been very challenging, but it's actually, when you walk away every day, your head spinning, but it's been really fun.
Did Virgo leave the systems in place for you to step in, or have you made changes for your own to make it your own role?
I was probably a bit of both. Darren and I worked really closely together, so again, there was no surprises or nothing that I didn't know about throughout the whole journey, because I was lucky enough to start with him as well. But again, this is always a topic of conversation, is probably just the evolution of the group. Has a more mature group, new guys coming in. We couldn't have done what we did last year or the year before. We always have to change, and I've always been part of those changes and how we've tried to challenge ourselves internally to make things better. So it's just been an extension of that, really.
So we heard when Virgo left that he'd be helping set up Port through the finals and then helping set up Port through the start of this year. How much of what's been going on for the last month and will go on for the next 2 months is him, and how much is you?
It's a really interesting one, because Darren and I are good friends as well. So there's probably a lot of the support that I've been given is probably more from a mateship point of view. The technical stuff has been in place for a long time, so there's no surprises from that point of view. And the support and the continued support will always come from the Skype calls, the texts, the phone calls, just outside of that. And it's probably, as I'm certainly learning, it's not the X's and O's which is the biggest part of this job. It's being able to manage the relationships and being able to keep those spinning plates going as the year progresses.
Just on a few of the players and how their pre-season is going. How's Robbie Gray going? Just looking at training, he sort of did most of the session and then obviously did a bit of running by himself at the end, or with a couple other guys. Yeah. So as we've talked about before, one size doesn't fit all in a footy club anymore. So Robbie's been absolutely humming. He's been doing really, really well. He's got over obviously the traumas that he's had over the last few months, and then obviously trying to back up an incredible season as well. So he's in a really good spot, and he was in training as much as he was, and then he did some modified running at the end just to top him up.
Has it been difficult to craft a program for him? I mean, it's not a regular football injury as such that he's sort of coming back from.
No, it's and one of the things with Robbie, he does go a bit unsung with this, is he'll manage himself, and he knows what he needs as a footballer, and he guides, and when we support his program as well. So from a sickness point of view, he's been looking after himself incredibly well, and he always does. So and he's obviously had a history of long-term injury. So he knows what he had to put in place, and he does it, and we just support everything around him.
He looks quite fit out there. Is that? The numbers suggest that he is as fit as he normally would be. Yeah, he's in the drills. He's killing it. He's doing what he needs to do. It's very exciting to see him. It's always exciting to see Robbie in drills, particularly the full ground stuff. It's not something that keeps me up at night at all, worrying about Robbie.
How does something like chemotherapy though affect his body and his training, or have you seen not much?
Thankfully, I haven't seen too much of it, to be honest. I think it's the systemic fatigue and the barrage that it takes on your body overall. Remember, we're pushing every single one of our guys pretty much to the edge in pre-season as it is, and we just have to probably listen in a little bit more carefully. So where before we would maybe people are tired, we know they're going to be tired, and we just push on. But maybe this time we just have to listen in a little bit more, and we have to manage that. So it means we just we've got great systems in place, and there's a lot of experts around me and around Robbie that really that provide that information, and we probably action upon it really ruthlessly now, whereas before we might have kept pushing.
So would you expect him to play round one or pre-season?
Yeah, there's in terms of pre-season, we haven't put any timelines on that, but yeah, there's no question that he'll be in the mix.
I was going to say, just considering his experience and obviously what he's gone through, he's had some groin issues in the past as well. Is it a case here probably don't play him in the JLT games and just sort of get him ready for round one?
Yeah, it's probably one more for the coaches than me, to be honest. From a selection point of view, from a physical point of view, he'll be fine. We've only got 2 games as well, so that makes things a little bit more difficult to manage going into round one as well. So that is something which we have to be aware of as well.
Ian, what about some of the other new guys that have come in? Where were they at in terms of relative to the group fitness-wise, like Jack and Trent, Daniel, and what's the message to those guys going over the break?
Yeah, well, we've seen those guys play for years now, so you expect Daniel to be absolutely incredible in terms of speed, and you expect Jack Dringworth to be an absolutely incredible animal when it comes to his running and the distances that he can cover. So those things have, it's not been a surprise, and they've lived up to that expectation, and that's been fantastic from us. It's very exciting for us. And then we've had guys arrive at the club before. You talk about Charlie coming. Those guys, when they come into this group, they seem to get pulled along and taken to a different level of fitness, and just the environment in which they're in. It's just been incredible for them. So I think they're incredible people. That's probably the biggest thing for me. It's been the guys are just great guys, and they're very exciting to watch out there.
And fitness-wise, they were at the level you expected? Yeah,
well, they knew what they probably knew that there was an expectation that they had to come to us in pretty good nick, and they've lived up to that.
Stephen Motlop and Sam Powell-Pepper just walking laps this morning. Was that just them being managed at the moment? Or?
Yeah, we're at the end of the season already for the season, the pre-season for me anyway. So this last sort of 10 days has been a pretty big jump for a lot of guys. So we are having to manage guys through so that we can send them into Christmas and then catapult off that into January, which is an incredible important month for us.
What about Matthew Broadbent? He missed obviously a bit of footy with an ankle problem at the end of the season, just doing running today. How's he tracking?
Yeah, so it's a slow burn with Matty as well. It has been one of those ones that's been very difficult. He's tried to get up when we've seen that in the season, and we just have to manage it day by day, to be honest. That's one which we're pushing very hard with, but we still make sure that we get him right.
Is there much are you seeing improvement in his ankle, or is it a case that he might have to go and have surgery soon?
No, there's no question of that at the moment. No, it's more he keeps getting better, but we don't want to push too far and then have to bring him back, considering the history of what he's had over the last few months. So we want to just keep incrementally moving him along there in a relatively conservative way.
What do you tell the guys over Christmas? Enjoy themselves?
No. No, absolutely. So that we want to give them a chop out as much as possible mentally, physically, after the loads they've put through. This has been a little bit of a different year in terms of the amount that they've had to do before Christmas. It's certainly not the pre-Christmas, just get through it and you'll be okay. It's been very difficult for them, and that's by design. So they have to take advantage of that. So to make good decisions. Obviously, time with family, time over Christmas is very important for our guys. But then they've also got to make really good decisions outside of that, so that whenever we come back, we're not ruining those decisions later on.
A few of those new boys that have come in have said that this sort of first little patch of training, you can see that the Port boys, they train hard. Is that, you mentioned it's a bit different to previous years, this first little patch? Have you just put them through the ringer for any particular reason?
It's the biggest thing that happens is scheduling just dictates a lot of what we need to do. So we have a bit of a broken January and going into Feb with obviously JLT and stuff. So we just had to go a little bit. We had to take a different tact essentially. And yeah, the guys would have said that after day one, and it would have been exactly the same as last year. They're coming into a group which works incredibly hard.
And just following Darcy Byrne-Jones is another one just training. He hasn't done a lot of full training this pre-season. What's he sort of got that's sort of holding him back?
So he's just had long-term groin pain. It's one of those ones that just takes a long time to get back, and it's incredibly important that we do not let him go too far, because you're very close to the edge of a very steep cliff. So if you go off the edge of that, then it takes a long time to get back. So we have to make sure that we do the right thing by him, so that when it comes to selection for JLTs and then into round one, that he's good to go.
No issues with Boki's hand?
No. That's he was in full training today. He's modified just a little bit, and that's just how the older guys get managed as well. So there's nothing from that point of view at all.
And Justin Pittard's similar to Darcy, is he, with the groin?
Yeah, similar. Yeah, he'll be in that.
Has he got a calf or has he got a?
No, it'd be the same. It'd be groin pain. Yeah.
Okay. Does Ken or any of the staff have any Christmas wishes?
We definitely don't talk about our Christmas wishes, that's for sure, within the group. I would say that it's probably the same thing, make the right decisions and come back ready to go on January 8th.
Just with the new guys, did any of them at all come in not up to scratch, to standard, as what you'd expect?
No, well, the guys they've come back. Like I said, it's not been a shock, the guys that have been away. So we knew that Rocky had his shoulder done. We knew that when you were when everyone was at, we know that they're absolutely, there's not been, that's been pretty boring, to be honest, from that point of view. These guys have done what they needed to, and probably the biggest thing for them is the acceleration that they've had since from day one, is that they've actually, because they're part of this group and this environment, that they've scared themselves a little bit in how well they've done.
Is the Rocky sort of back to full strength in that shoulder now, or is he slowly getting back?
Yeah, so he'll go back into full contact or progressively contact over the next month once he got back from Christmas.